It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our only episode of Two Guys and Goalie this week on the Nielsen Media Cool Bet Network. Dusty, Cass, Gage, you're all back with you once again. If you're betting on the NHL playoffs, hopefully you've been betting on the Florida Panthers, and hopefully you've been doing it at coolbet.com. Sign up for an account today. Use the code 2Guys. Cass, Gager, good to see you guys. I missed you because we didn't chat on Monday. How you guys doing?
Good. I'm all right. Got a house full of sick women, though. So it's
rough, from the trip? Right from the dance?
Yeah. My wife felt bad when she left. I actually offered to go instead. And
what a great move as a husband and father. Yeah.
But she ends up, she had strep throat, so was like, and then gave it to my daughter, and my daughter's upstairs.
Everybody's had strep throat. My son, this was ridiculous. He went and got tested. Like my coughs kind of come back, but I had a really bad cough 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, and then Marshall kind of had the same sort of thing. We went and got him tested. The test took 6 days to come back. He was already better. Like the cough had stopped, and the doctor called 6 days later. I was like, yeah, so he has strep. We're gonna put him on some medicine, and my wife's like, he's already better. There's no more symptoms. Yeah. But they gave him the medicine, so we hammered it into him for 3 days, and now he's doing good. Strep's just going around, I guess.
It went. We had it. I think it's been all year, like because it was earlier in the year. My daughters all had it too.
Really?
Wow. Or most of them. Yeah, I kind of went through each, and it was like they didn't have any of the quick tests available. Like it was all the same thing. Like take 6 days.
Yeah.
And both times we told the doctor, we're just like, listen, I can literally see the lesions on their throat. Like, this is strep. I know this is strep. I know, like, and one of them was on the weekend, or it was like on a Friday. And so all the medicine centers are going to be closed. Right. So we're like, listen, write us a prescription. We're not going to go get it filled. Like, we're going to wait, get the test. We'll wait because the test's not going to be same thing for 4 or 5 days. If it keeps getting worse, like then we can go get it. And which is what ended up happening. And it was strep. Then the same thing. Yeah. 6 days later, it's like, yeah, it is strep. And we're like, we like,
come on.
It's like, yeah, we know because our friend's kid had strep, then they hung out together. And it's like, we know what this is, but man, what brutal. I've had strep a couple times in my life, and it is just,
I had it a couple times. It's really bad. Really bad. It really sucks when you talk for a living. Really kills you. That's not a good thing. All right, boys. Let's just get right into it. Biggest story of the week. Gager, the Mercedes side pods. What do you think? What are we making of this? My goodness.
That's my God.
Biggest story.
This is going to be unbelievable in Monaco. I can't wait. We got the alarm set for tomorrow morning, Dusty, and see what this thing can do in free practice 1. It's going to be
Cass,
great.
You need to know this stuff because you're leading the fantasy league, right?
Yeah, but you know what? Gager, what did you switch to all Mercedes drivers now in the pool? Is that your play this week?
I wait until practice to have a look and see what they're putting down.
Happens.
I try to watch them all and go from there. And it's so tough though because we don't know the fuel loads and how if they've turned up the engine or not and stuff. So I gotta try to be as stealthy as possible, but stay tuned for Pit Stop Pals later, guys.
That's right. We'll have Pit Stop Pals. That's right. Subscribe today to the Pit Stop Pals on the Nielsen Media Cool Bet Network. All right, the Florida Panthers sweep aside the Carolina Hurricanes. Cass, I love Brindamore last night saying we didn't get swept. We played well in all these games. I mean, I guess it wasn't your typical blowout of a sweep. Carolina did play well, but Bobrovsky was better, and Matthew Tkachuk and the Panthers were clutch. I mean, that's kind of a recipe for success in the playoffs, isn't it?
I mean, but Bobrovsky won you the series, and they were swept. You lost 4 games straight. You were swept, but it wasn't an ugly sweep. It wasn't like they just got absolutely destroyed the entire time. Like 3 out of the 4 games, really, they were in it the entire game. Like aside from the Bobrovsky shutout, which he won them that game too, is like they were right there. I mean, you have like the quintuple or quadruple or however many overtimes in game 1. It was, I believe game 2 was overtime as well. And then, you get shut out in game 3, it's still a close game. And game 4 was, you got scored on with 4 seconds left. Like you were right there in every single game. So it feels like a sweep. It's a gut punch. But Carolina still played well. Like they didn't play poorly. I think the big thing for me, I mean, the 3 big things, you already pointed out 2 of them. Bobrovsky, number 1, Tkachuk, number 2, and number 3, no Svechnikov. And we said it heading into the playoffs. I think the reason that the Carolina Hurricanes weren't going to win a cup or weren't going to get to the cup final would be they didn't have that extra game-breaking forward. And listen, when Jordan Martinook, who had a fantastic playoffs, but he's not a top-line guy. I love Jordy. Played a little bit with him at camp, skated with him every summer here in Edmonton. Good, solid player, but he's a role-playing guy, and he has been his career. When he's your game-breaking forward in the playoffs, you might have some issues. And I think just even to beat Bobrovsky, not having Svechnikov was a huge just blow to Carolina.
Gage, your thoughts on that series, and maybe specifically Bobrovsky turning back the clock here a few years?
I'm a genius because I said it was going to go 5 games, and realistically it did go 5 games. All right. If you add in the overtime periods, it went 5 games, but it was a sweep. Bobrovsky's awesome, man. He's so cool in there, looking like the old Columbus Blue Jacket Bobrovsky. Just his movement's perfect. He's so hard to beat. He got into the heads of the shooters too. Like, you saw guys second guess when to shoot, when to pass. They talked about it on the broadcast too. And as I was watching the game last night, they didn't do a good enough job of taking his eyes away too. Like, he saw everything, right? And so when you're feeling good and you can see the puck, and you've got your game to that level, it's like picking cherries for him at that point. But man, I loved that game. I thought it was great. God, the both teams, the amount of pucks that they dump in and get after and chase and the hits, like that Bennett hit on Slavin. I don't know if you guys watched the beginning of the game, and they had Slavin with his feel-good story of adoption and all this things. And then Bennett
gives no shit.
just doesn't care and puts him into next season. Oh,
what
just
a great hit.
Just clean.
What
just a
clean
great
shoulder,
hit.
feet on the ice, didn't jump, didn't take 80 strides into it, just caught a guy flush in the chest. And it's not like Bennett's a huge guy. Like, he just caught him so clean. Like, that was beautiful. And then that really hurt Carolina too. Like, Slavin is an unreal defenseman. Yeah, he's good. And just another blow against Carolina in that. But oh man,
well,
and how much do you think Calgary fans, just anyone that are watching this series and seeing how Sam Bennett's playing, are just like, and Tkachuk too, are just like, what is happening right now? Like,
that's gotta suck. That's gotta suck.
Like, what team wouldn't want Sam Bennett on them for the playoffs right now?
Yeah,
how he's playing.
Every team would take him. Every single team would take him. Like, that's the tough pill to swallow.
And arguably that defensive core in Carolina is one of the best in the league. I think. Like, they have and the Florida Panthers made them look very normal with their forecheck. They just were so quick. The decisions that they had to make, they couldn't get the puck out of their zone at sometimes just because Florida worked so hard. It was masterful job on the forecheck with the Panthers.
We'll get to more on the Panthers in just one second. To just quickly kind of putting the wraps here on the Hurricanes. Cass has been a really good team for the last 2 years, and a good team a few years before that too.
Yeah.
And no Svechnikov, so there's always that easy. Didn't have their most dangerous offensive weapon. Nothing against Sebastian Aho, but Svechnikov has more of that game breaker in him, I think. So I think you just sort of run it back, right? Like, what are you supposed to do if you're the Carolina Hurricanes here? What's next for them?
Like, what are you gonna overly change?
Yeah.
Like, you look at this and again, I know you got swept, but it's like, you're not blowing this thing up. I'm not sure. I don't know their status of all their contracts. I don't know who's up and who's not. I haven't taken a look at it yet.
I'll tell you right now while you're talking here.
I can't imagine you're going into this and you're saying we need to get that much different. Like, as you guys said, like, they have arguably one of the best defensive cores in the league. Like, you have defensive stability, but you have the ability to move the puck offensively. You have some speed, you have some size. Like, you have a lot of different stuff on the defensive side of the puck. If you're looking to improve areas, well, you still could look to that goal scoring creative area if you were able to add a piece up front. But listen, it's not an excuse that you lost. You didn't have Svechnikov, but he's a really good player. And you have to think that if Carolina is healthy heading into it with him, I mean, they're an even better team. Like they're still right there. They'll be a Stanley Cup contender again next year. I think we saw Freddie Anderson play better. Like they play like we kind of expect a good Freddie Anderson to play. And to me, when he's playing as well as he did, I mean, that your goaltending is there as long as he's healthy. Your goaltending is there. You have the defense. You have some good young forwards on contracts like a Seth Jarvis that stepped up when Svechnikov went down, that moved to the middle and took a role in the first unit power play and had some success. And so you have good young guys on good contracts. You have all the pieces there. Maybe another game-breaking forward somehow, if you could find that or bring that in up front. And you're right there as a Carolina team. I mean, you don't or you shouldn't look to blow this team up. It's still a really, really good team.
But they still have Pacioretty too, don't they? Like, is he's
a
still
UFA. He'll be a UFA here. So,
and who knows from a health standpoint. I mean, I feel like that would be a pretty big risk.
I'm doing the quick math on it here, and I think they have with Svechnikov included, I think they're still going to have like 16, 17 million in cap space. They've got everybody of significant importance back. Jesper Fost is a free agent. They would have enough to sign him if they wanted. Paul Stastny, Derek Stepan. Jordan Staal is a free agent at the age of 34. He's their captain. Their whole blue line is back. I mean, Gosses, Baron DeHaan are UFAs, but Slavin and Burns and Shea and Pesci, those guys are all signed. None of them for more than 5.3 million, by the way. Which is amazing. And then Freddie Anderson's a UFA, and Rant is a UFA. So maybe there's a window here to actually change the goaltending, which might end up helping as well. So Carolina's they're in a dream spot. Do you need to change the goaltending
though?
Well, they got the Tkachuk kid too, who they really like. Yeah, and he's signed.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen much. I don't know much about him, but I'm kind of like between Ranta and
I don't
Anderson,
know if you're running back with the same two guys. You might want to mix that up.
Well, maybe one of them, depending. Again, the young kid, I don't know anything about. But like to me, Freddie Anderson, if you can get him for good money, the health is always the big question with him.
Yeah.
But I think he's shown his big game capabilities. Like he can play in big games and be really, really good. And you have a good defensive core in front of them. So yeah.
Yeah, they didn't lose this game because of goaltending. I mean, they allowed 6 goals through the first 3 games. Gager, would you run it back with that same crew or what? Like,
yeah, I like Freddie Anderson, man. I think he's a really good goalie. He made some just the guy at the other end was just a little bit better. You know, it's such a fine margin for. I like the way he plays. He's a big guy. I'm puzzled about the injuries with him though. That's the only and Ranta, he's injury prone too. I think that's the only question mark that I would have with the Carolina Hurricanes going into next year is just the durability of my two guys. So maybe this young guy coming up kind of go to more have 3 capable guys going into next year. That might solidify everything for them.
It's a dream situation to be where they are with the cap space that they've got to move a few things around if they really want to. An ideal situation, I think, here for the Carolina Hurricanes. I was going to go as far as saying I think they win the Stanley Cup next year if it's but you can't say that because the Edmonton Oilers are going to be pretty good too, right? So you can't. Although a Carolina Edmonton final next year certainly in the cards.
That'd be fun.
Once again. All right, on the Florida side of things here, guys, Matthew Tkachuk with what he's done. I mean, he's having fun. He's got the sellies. He's scoring overtime winners. 5 seconds left. It's been a fairy tale script here for Matthew Tkachuk, his time in Florida so far. I asked this question on my show this morning. I said at the time, I can't wait to ask Cass and Gager about this and 2 guys today. How many players in this league, if you're starting a franchise, this will get to our rankings in the summer here too, Cass. But like McDavid and Draisaitl, probably ahead of Tkachuk. I think McKinnon, probably Makar. But outside of that, Cass, like how many guys are you putting ahead of Matthew Tkachuk in this league right now?
Not that many. I mean, he's certainly top 10 right now. He has to be. I mean, especially if you're wanting to win in the playoffs, like he is constructed to play a playoff series, not just to have success in the regular season, but like in terms of his physicality, the agitating, the walking the line, but also being able to produce and perform offensively and burn you. And I mean, thus far, it looks like he's an absolute gamer from big game standpoint. Like he steps up and rises to the occasion. So I mean, I can't remember where I had him. I'd have to go back and look. But
we'd have to look on those lists. Yeah,
I couldn't possibly have him outside of the top 10. I couldn't.
Oh God, no.
I mean, he is probably knocking on the door of the top 5 right now. Like, you think if you want to win today, he's got to be close. He has to be close. He has to be.
I'm under the.
You take him ahead of all the Maple Leafs guys, like Matthews and Marner. I mean, that's not even a conversation now.
Do you think you take him in front of Matthews still? Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. 100%. I mean,
yeah.
Matthews is a great goal scorer, but Tkachuk alone in these playoffs has accomplished more than Matthews ever has. Like, I think I know I'll be fascinated. Like, we'll do our off-season top 50 stuff. I'll be very interested to see where like that TSN top 50 kind of trickles in and those types of things, because that's maybe not the case. But I just don't know what more. Like, Matthew Tkachuk can play any way you want him to play at an elite level. So, Gager, where do you come out on this?
He's in the top 5. Dusty, like, and it almost comes down to what have you done for me lately, looking at guys. And man, the players that you had mentioned and what happened this year, I might have Matthew Tkachuk at number 4 in my books, just for what he's able to do in the postseason and what he's done. And I think even Rashog mentioned, I thought about this last night too, is I think there was a huge lesson learned last year going up against McDavid and watching the dominance that Connor McDavid had against the Flames. And really the nullifying anything that Tkachuk could do. I think he learned some hard lessons last year in that playoffs and didn't want that to happen again. And he's shown that he's arguably the best player in the NHL right now. I would say it. He's the best player in the NHL right now for what he's doing. He's clutch. The way he plays, he's built for the playoffs, and he is very, very tough to contain right now.
Tkachuk this year had 40 goals in 79 games, 109 points, 123 PIMs. Nobody else in the top 10 had more than 40 except for Rantanen, who had 82. McDavid, 153, Draisaitl 128. And then Tkachuk was 4 points back of Pasternak for third in league scoring, Kucherov third in league scoring, McKinnon, right? Like, he's in that mix, but he does so many other things that those guys don't do, which I think kind of validates the discussion. So, what a pickup for the Florida Panthers, man. And Calgary was in, they were throwing a bad hand here. I mean, whether the guys wanted to play for Sutter anymore or not, that's on the Flames too.
That's why he wanted out. It's 100% on the Flames ownership, I would say. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
And it's come out now, like Trivling, they offered him a contract. He said no. I guarantee you that's because of Sutter was still around, and he probably hadn't at that time been given permission to fire. Like, that is 100% why. And again, that's not anything against Sutter and his accomplishments in the past. He just wasn't the right fit for this group, wasn't the right fit for this team beyond a year or two, and you lost Tkachuk because of it. You lost Gaudreau because of it. He would have wanted to re-sign in Calgary, most likely, but you weren't willing to budge with the coach.
Yeah. Well, so Calgary tries to salvage it with Huberdeau, and we'll see how it works out. But Florida moved on from Huberdeau, coming off a career year, but going into his 30s, and a defenseman who was also like two guys who were UFAs that you're like, do we want him to stick around? Will they stick around? You managed to move these guys to lock up Tkachuk through his prime, which is just an all-time move from the Florida Panthers, man. Like, just after the year they had last year, to pull the trigger on something like this and make it work that's incredible stuff.
Now he's probably golfing with Koepka down there and
living a good life.
Jimmy Butler's wearing his jersey, shooting hoops. Like, I mean, it's a no-brainer. He's having the time of his life. Having the time of his life.
Right. Yes. Hey, Conn Smythe right now. I mean, we just spent 5 minutes jerking off Tkachuk, for lack of a better term. I'd still vote for Bobrovsky.
100%.
I think that's where it has to be. Cass, you're with me. Gager, I know where you're at on this. Yeah.
I can't believe Cass is voting for the goalie.
Cass,
you have to look at how he's played. I don't like voting for goalie for Conn Smythe.
Right after this.
I don't like voting for goalie for Conn Smythe. I will say that. I'm not a fan of having to do it, but I feel he has forced my hand because he has been so good. Like, I can't see how anyone could argue against it.
And now he gets a little bit of rest too, which is ridiculous. This is big trouble it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be Vegas.
Let me speculate a little bit here. So because I know we're going to go to the other side and say, for the other teams, let's assume Vegas wins. They're up 3, like very unlikely that they lose this. Who's the Smythe candidate for the Vegas Golden Knights?
It's Eichel.
I think it would be Eichel. I think it would be Eichel.
I like Marchessault too.
I think it would be Eichel.
Marchessault hadn't put up enough points. He took a while to actually start producing.
Yeah, I think it would be Eichel.
The way Eichel's playing right now is impressive, man.
What about Pietrangelo?
Yeah, the slasher.
Did take out Draisaitl's mental focus in the series.
And that's why I would have Tkachuk ahead of Draisaitl right now, just because the mental battle.
The most important part of all of this is that at the end of the third round here, the Conn Smythe odds will be posted at coolbet.com. And I hope it's a good number of Bobrovsky, because I'm gonna double down on Sergei Bobrovsky here for sure. So wait for that. That'll be posted once these series wrap up. Cass, you mentioned the other series, so let's slide over there right now. What was Jamie Benn doing? And what was worse? His actual play that led to the 2-game suspension, or him trying to say, I was falling down and used my stick to brace myself in a landing area.
It's almost as bad as what Pietrangelo probably said. That they made me really mad earlier. They just made me mad. I mean, it was, selfish play by a guy that should know better at this point in his career. It really was. It was a selfish, it was a foolish, it was a bad play. Completely unnecessary. What were you going to do? What was that going to accomplish in a game that you needed to win, that you desperately needed to win?
Nothing.
What was it going to accomplish?
Just
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I don't know what he was doing. I mean, it wasn't using his, I wish I would have fallen somewhere else. Like, come on. I mean, you have to come up with something. so that's what he went with. But and I like Jamie Benn, good Western kid. I love the way he plays the game. It was not smart, just foolish, and you hooped your team. Not smart.
How does that switch flip? Like, it was, you had to have game 3. You're already down 1-0, and you look down at Stone and go, "This is going to help us win." Smash. Like, I guess the game just got to him, like the emotional side of it. I'm outside of that being an actual elimination game, I can't think of a stupider move to make. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, some guys just have that switch that doesn't click at the right time and say this is a bad idea. But I mean, Stone's neck kept hitting him in this Benn's stick. Maybe Stone should get a penalty. I don't know, but that whole thing just makes me angry with because it's intent to injure, right? And the punishment does fit. I think it is 2 games, but we saw the same thing with Pietrangelo. And if maybe the Oilers don't come back in that series, but that was Alex should have got 2 games, and that's all. That's
the same thing. Intent to injure. You tried to hurt somebody. You did something. You're sick. Like that's where for the Department of Player Safety, you're like, what is going on? Like, why? How is that 2 and Pietrangelo's 1?
Yeah.
Like they both should have been 2. I think 2 games was the absolute right call for what he was trying to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they got that one right for sure. But they got the Edmonton Oilers or the Vegas Golden Knights and Pietrangelo. That call was absolutely blown. Still horrible. Doesn't mean the Edmonton Oilers win, but still horrible.
The reffing was terrible. Like, I texted you guys last night with that penalty.
Well, I was going to say,
trick was soft.
I mean, a regular season, sure, you want to call it a trip. But with how much shit people get away with in the playoffs, to call a trip at that end of the ice, at that moment of the game, I feel like the ref forgot that it was a playoff game. I was like, oh, yeah, a little trip.
Well, I got a conspiracy theory, because it was Dan O'Rourke that made the call, and Dan lived in Badger Dorm with Rod Brindamore as a new boy, I think, at Notre Dame while I was there.
Okay.
And Brindamore probably made Dan O'Rourke clean a few extra toilets, and that was him getting back at him. So both good Notre Dame boys. I was in the other dorm at that point, but I heard rumors. So
pretty legit conspiracy, actually, Gager. I thought you were going to go.
It's legit, yeah. Personal bias.
Yeah,
personal bias.
Yeah, that shouldn't be allowed. No, that shouldn't be allowed at all. So yeah, that was. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to get to that penalty last night. That was tough. The other one before we get to, I got some little golf movie and trivia lined up because Cass is going golfing here, so we'll tie that in. But Calgary hires Craig Conroy. Cass, last year was obviously a tough year for them, but you've talked about it a long time, basically since Sutter was hired, how, there's a shelf life there, and we saw kind of what it did to that group. And Conroy hasn't made a decision on a coach yet, but we'll see which way he goes. Do you think Calgary's a ship that Conroy can get back on track relatively quickly here, Cass?
If you pick the right coach, yeah, for sure. They have good pieces there. There's lots of good pieces in Calgary. I mean, they're a team that's in a I think still a win now mode. Like, it's not a build up mode. It's not a recovery mode team. It's like you have a good team and you have a lot of good pieces. You just need a coach that's going to pull the best out of them here in a positive manner and maybe make a couple tweaks. So I think they're right there. Like, it's to me, Trevelyan did the hard work, which is try to salvage Gaudreau and Tkachuk leaving. And I think he did that very, very well. And I think with the proper coaching, I think Weegar has a bounce back year, like plays a lot better. You probably, if your Weegar and your D-core plays better, you're going to get better goaltending from Markstrom because he was brutal last year. And you have some good forward pieces. So I don't think it's like a incredibly difficult job that he's stepping into. Like, he doesn't have to blow something up and completely rebuild that. It's just going to be tweaking it. But that coaching decision is a big one to me. I mean, that's going to be your stamp on this thing immediately here is who can you bring in or who are you bringing in to be the guy to try to get everyone on the same page and not hating coming to the rink every day.
Quick turnaround, Gager. Back in the playoffs next year.
I mean, it's going to be difficult, but they're going to be better. I think just with a new voice from the start of the season, not having the same tired voice and the way he treated the young guys. And I was listening to a few things yesterday about how things were going, and you got to figure Markstrom's going to have a better year next year. Huberdeau's going to want to, especially when he sees what Florida's doing, he's going to be coming in with a chip on his shoulder, right? So,
and he's going to probably play the right position,
most likely
for the entire year.
There's that. So, they're going to be a ton better next year. And I don't know if you guys watched any of the World Championships, but Weegar's awesome, man. He's an unreal defenseman. So look for him to have a huge bounce back year next year as well.
All right, boys. Reason we're doing two guys a little bit early today. Cass, you're in a charity golf tournament today. What tournament is it, by the way? Where are you headed? What's going on?
It's at the Quarry. It's Meg Paulson's for muscular dystrophy. So it'll be it'll be good. Got a couple
I
of
haven't
the
played
other.
the Quarry yet this year. I'd like to get out there.
I haven't played it this year either. I mean, I've only played once, and that was down in Oklahoma. So I'm going to be brutal. But thankfully, it's best ball. So whatever.
You'll be fine. All you have to do is have like 4 good shots in 18 holes, and you'll be fine there. So.
Then you're okay.
I was going to say you need 4 White Claws, and you're fine.
Yeah, that's true. My favorite thing about golf tournaments is not remembering them because they're such a good time. All right, so a little golf trivia here to wrap up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a character name from a golf movie. You guys have to buzz in and let me know what movie they're from. Pretty popular characters, to be honest with you. I think you guys will probably be okay here. So, Cass, you're already hanging your head in shame, bud.
Because I'm just trying to think of all the golf movie names. Your
confidence before going golfing is really disturbing to me right now.
Because it's like I know 2 golf movies really well.
Well, just so you know, they're on this list multiple times probably. So you might be okay. All right, so give me the and then we'll get going. All right, here we go, guys. This one's the easy one. What movie is this character from? Beggar Vance. Cass.
Beggar Vance.
Incorrect name. Gager.
Legend of Beggar Vance.
There you go.
Oh,
all
crap.
Right, that's one for Gager. All right, here we go. I knew you'd screw that up, man. All right, here we go. What movie is this character from? Danny Noonan. Gager.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. That's 2. Okay, Cass, get ready. This is it right here. You can get this. If you're going to get anyone, this would be it. Be ready to move. What movie is this character from? Chubbs Peterson. Cass.
I didn't even hear it, but I was going to say Happy Gilmore.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Did you honestly not hear it?
No.
That was Chubbs Peterson from Happy Gilmore. You lucky bastard.
You're a
All
lucky
right,
bastard.
That's one. All right. Mr. Larson. Cass.
Is that not Caddyshack again?
Er,
Mr. Larson. I'm gonna go. I'll go Tin Cup.
Happy Gilmore. Then the park, big guy, the giant with the nail in his head. They got the nail taken out. I'll meet you in the parking lot after. That's
You
Mr.
can
Larson.
count on
You
me
can
meeting
count
you
on
in the parking lot.
That's right. You can count. That's such a good line. Oh, good. You can
Such a
count.
good line.
Yeah, and you can count. Oh, so good. All right. So 2-1 Gager here. 3 more to go. Which movie is this character from? Carl Spackler. Cass.
Tin Cup.
Man, there's 3 movies here. And you keep missing it.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Bill Murray. Bill Murray's character in Caddyshack. Cash, you need the next 2 to tie and go to a bonus question that I don't have ready. So here we go. Name the movie that this character's in. David Sims. Gager.
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup. That's right. That secures the win. Final question. Ty Webb.
Oh.
Cass.
Legend of Bagger Vance.
No. Gager.
Happy Gilmore.
No. Chevy Chase. Caddyshack.
Oh,
Ty
it
Webb.
is.
Yeah.
Caddyshack.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Ty
Gager
Cobb.
wins. Yeah.
Oh.
Gager
Not a
wins
golf movie
4-1.
guy. I mean, guys, it's not like I was like, I maybe have some of the Caddyshack ones. I know I got most like Happy Gilmore's. Like I can get those.
It
ones.
doesn't take a lot to be a golf movie guy. You have to watch Caddyshack, Happy Gilmore, Tin Cup. Those are the only 3. Oh, well,
Yeah.
we'll do it again next tournament. Same characters, and we'll see if you do any better. That'll be all right. All right, boys. Gager, I know you've got to go get prepping for Monaco here. Cass, you're going to head off to a golf tournament. You guys have fun, and we'll catch up on Monday previewing a Stanley Cup final, which should be a lot of fun, shouldn't it? Yeah, that'll be real nice. Talk to you then, boys.
Later.